Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, my name is Raven and welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to another Raven's Ramble. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the faction war and the fact that this thing needs a goddamn rebirth. Because right now, I kind of don't care about the faction war. I haven't cared about the faction war for a long time now, and I know a lot of people who also don't really care about the faction war. They're not that invested in it. And essentially, it's gotten to the point now where me and a lot of people I talk to, we essentially log in and then the faction war's over and we just see what rewards we got, some goodies, whatever emblem, where we came. It's not really a big deal anymore, and it hasn't been a big deal for a long time. And that is a big problem because the whole game when it first launched was based around this faction war. It was based around this idea of, you know, the knights versus the samurai versus the Vikings. There's these three factions, they're going head to head. The whole, like, you know, faction war map, you're fighting to win the season, and it was this really big thing when the game first launched. People gave a shit about it. Then the whole, you know, it being rigged thing happened, and there was a lot of evidence and everything to support the fact that it was. People were predicting which season who was going to win which season based on a whole bunch of different stuff. Yeah, it was a massive controversy. I was right in the middle of it. I had freaking people yelling at me, telling me I'm fucking to die. You had other people agreeing with me. It was like you're either on one side or the other. A couple people in the middle just like, hey, I just want to play the game. But even with that massive controversy, people gave a shit about the faction war. And now no one really cares. I'm hard pressed to find people who sit there and just like, I'm really fucking stoked. I get in the faction war map and I'm sit there and I like spend like all this time working out where to place my assets so that way my faction. No one really is doing that I know of. And if you are, please let me know in the comment section down below. But the whole thing is just a massive missed opportunity. Now, I have an idea, which I've said in the past. I'm going to be saying it again in order to make the faction war fucking amazing, at least in my eyes. And I think lots of people would like it. So let's get into what I would want to see out of the faction war. And then we can go over maybe a couple more ideas. And then I'd love to hear from you guys down below what you think the faction war needs in order to be relevant and awesome and live up to what it is, okay? It's supposed to be this big integral part of the game. Yeah, it's a fighting game and you're fighting, but the whole thing is you're supposed to be fighting in order to, you know, for your faction in order to win. Now, when it comes to my idea, I would like to see a faction war game mode. This thing is a fucking no-brainer. Now, if you make a faction war game mode, this would be directly linked to the actual faction war itself. And I've had debates with people in the past before because if I make a faction war game mode, I would want it to be faction locked. So for example, if you pick the Vikings as your faction, you can only play Viking heroes when you enter the faction war game mode. Now, when you enter the faction war game mode, for example, as the Vikings, whenever you kill people and win games, depending on where you go, how much you win, you will contribute more resources and points and everything to the actual faction war itself. And I would also like to add leaderboards and everything per faction, so you can see who's contributing the most per faction to, you know, their faction winning, essentially. When it comes to resources, the games they're winning, the game loss ratios, everything. It adds this entire another layer to the game, and it's all based around this faction war that leads into, you know, the faction war having meaning. Because if you don't participate in the faction war game mode, then you're not participating in the faction war itself. So if you don't really care about which faction wins and all that sort of stuff, you don't have to play it. You don't have to opt into it. Instead of just putting down this flag and not giving a shit because you don't give a shit, you can choose just not just play the game. Not worry about it. But for the people who care about the faction war and they want, like, you know, their faction to win, they want to do role playing, they want to do whatever the fuck they want to do, they want to be invested in it, then at the start of the season you pick your faction. Alright, and then you can just sit there and just pump out that faction war game mode. Now, when it comes to the game mode itself, there's many ways you could do it. You could do from the original cinematic where there's, you know, the knight guy, there's the Viking guy, the samurai guy. You can do it 1v1v1, okay, and just have that going on. Once again, if anyone comes into the comment section, sits there and go, oh, it's impossible to do 1v1v1, oh, it has to be 4v4, and they can't do free-for-all at all, like, that's you can't do it. I've already explained in the past, you fucking can. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They can do whatever they want. It'll just be whether it's cost effective or not for them, or whether they can be fucked, but you can do it. But I'd love to see, for the faction war game mode, 3 options. So you could have 1v1v1, okay, so it's a free-for-all. Yeah, you can have 2 people gang up on one person or so on and so forth. That's part of the game. That would literally be part of that mode. Or you could have 2v2, v2, same sort of thing, and then 3v3, v3. That would be really, really cool. And for the record, it'd be a glorious clusterfuck, and I love that. But you could also go the way of having it standard. So you could like, have it like a 1v1, okay? And then you just verse either whichever other faction, but you won't be versing the same person from the same faction. So if I'm a Viking, I jump into the 1v1 for the faction war game mode, I'm not going to be versing another person who's aligned themselves with the Vikings because we're on the same faction. Why the fuck we're fighting each other when we're supposed to be trying to win? So therefore, I'd have to verse either a samurai guy or a knight guy, and matchmaking would have to set that up, which is completely fine because there's enough people across the board in order to match you with someone. And then, of course, when you win, you get the most resources for your faction, and the other people don't get anything for their faction because they've lost. Now, that is a harsh way of doing it. I don't know if anyone's going to be into that, but if I was to personally do it, I would do it like that. The person who wins the match, okay, where it's 1v1v1, or, just 1v1 or 2v2, whatever you want to do, the winning person gets the faction rewards, okay? Because then it comes down to you actually having to care about it. You have to care about winning, you have to care about putting in your maximum effort, and so on and so forth in order to get the faction resources for your faction to win the faction war via the faction war game mode. Now, I know some people are going to say, that's harsh, I played the game, da-da-da-da-da. That's completely fine. If you're one of those people who would rather get resources because you ended up playing the mode and, it still contributes to your faction, please let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to have a conversation with you. So would a bunch of other people. But when it comes to me personally with the faction war game mode idea, I would love to see it like that. Okay, so you pick your faction. The only way to get faction war resources and contribute to your faction winning is to play that game mode. And then, of course, in order to get the resources for your faction, you need to actually win the games, which I personally think would be really, really cool. It'd be really, really fun. It would make the faction war actually worth it and make you care about it, because if you're going to invest yourself in your faction, then you're going to want your faction to win in order to get all those really, really sick rewards, and then you're going to basically just jump into that game mode, smash it out, and try your hardest to win in order to actually, contribute to the faction war. And also the leaderboards there. Leaderboards are always a great thing because it breeds competition. Competition is not bad. That's why ranked is a thing. The only problem is ranked in For Honor because of all the balance issues, and they brought it in so late, and so there's a lot of issues there. But in every game in the past where I've seen leaderboards, people really, really like it. They get into it, I get into it, and it's a nice addition, and I reckon it would be great with this whole faction war idea. But if they didn't want to do a faction war PvP game mode, they could also do a PvE one. We've had Test Your Metal in the past, which was really, really fucking cool. We also have the weekly arcade quests now, which are also pretty damn cool. Now, what they could do is they could set up a system, essentially, where it's all based around the faction mode, and they could make the faction war this sort of like you versus PvE type thing. Like, that could be another option as well. I haven't fleshed this one out fully. It's just an idea I've had in my head that there is a way you could probably set it up like that where it would work, it would make sense, it'd be fun, and it would give people an additional way to be invested in the actual faction war itself. But end of the day, no matter which way you go, whether you want to go the faction war game mode where make it PvP, make it this like big centerpiece of the game, which theoretically it should be, which they've said in the past that, that's the whole premise of it, and they're big on like, what are you, a Viking, a samurai, or a knight? They're pushing it, but the thing is, gameplay wise, they're not really pushing it, and it's a massive missed opportunity. I think the faction war itself right now has just gone stale. Not many people care about it, and the thing needs to rise like a goddamn phoenix and be reborn. And it has so much potential. I hate seeing potential wasted. There is so much they can do with it, and I want to see them do something with it. Yes, there's bigger pressing issues. I already know people are going to be saying that, can we just fix balance first? I fucking am 100% with you on that one. But we all know that there's multiple teams working on multiple things. The people doing the balance stuff, they're not really going to be focusing on, the guys who are doing the cosmetics. Now, yes, there's a whole bunch of resources that need to be delegated outwards when it comes to companies and how they work. But at the same time, we're not in Ubisoft. We don't know what their process is for divvying out money, who's divvying out the money, so on and so forth. So yeah, it is a good valid argument, like, can we just focus on the important stuff first? But at the same time, they're still pumping out a bunch of cosmetics, they're still pumping out a bunch of other stuff, and balance is sort of lacking right now. We all know this, they're working on it slowly. But I think because the faction war is supposed to be this massive integral part of the game, I think they could do better with it. I think they could do more with it, and it has a lot of potential, and it's this core feature that's just over time being neglected. But that's pretty much where I stand on the matter. I want that faction war game mode. I want it to mean something. I want to care about the faction war again, because right now, I don't even place the flag. I don't place resources. I just don't care. There's no, for me personally, nothing to it. Like, it's just like, I log in, and it's like, oh, you've aligned yourself with, say, Vikings this season. You've won. Cool. Sweet. I get a couple of crates. I get some emblems. All right, sweet. And then I just go click through, and then I just go straight to playing the game. I want to care again. But right now, there's no reason to care about it because it's just this sort of off to the side mini game that doesn't really matter, doesn't have any meaning or sway or anything, at least to me. And I know I've talked to a bunch of other people, it's the exact same for them as well. But I cannot wait to see where you land on this. I cannot wait to see if you have ideas about the PvE mode version of it. That would be cool. And tell me what you think about my Faction War game mode idea as well. If you can improve on it, if you can tear it down, whatever you want to do, go for it. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Because it doesn't matter what side of the conversation you land on here, I think we can all agree we just want something really, really cool to come out of the game. And we just want this game to be awesome, and we want this game to live up to its full potential that we know it has. But that is the end of the video, guys, so thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and let me know your thoughts. I love reading and replying to all your comments down below. And feel free to check out my Discord and Twitter. There is a link down below in the description box for both of those as well. The Discord is a great way for me to talk to you guys outside the YouTube comments section. And of course, the Twitter is a great way for you guys to get a notification whenever a video is being uploaded, because YouTube is a bit weird sometimes. And if you like this video and you like what I'm doing here on the channel and you want to support the channel further, feel free to check out my Patreon. There'll be a link down below in the description box, and a link will pop up at the end of the video. And if you choose to donate, it is greatly appreciated. And a big shout out to my current patrons whose names you've been seeing in the background. Just wanted to say thank you for your support. It really does mean a lot. And please share this video around, it does help me out a fuck ton. And if you want to see more videos from me, please hit the subscribe button. I shall see you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys.